So compared to some of the stuff I work on, this is obviously what I think is going to be a fairly easy flip. But I wanted to pick it because this is something that you're going to run into fairly often, whether it's a sofa or like hall table like this or coffee tables. Stuff that looks like solid wood that isn't solid wood, and basically what I would do to refinish it. Now, at first glance, this would fool almost anyone. It does look like a solid pine table. When I was carrying this out to the car, someone else was walking in and said, "Oh, that's a really nice table," not understanding quite what this is. So there are some elements of solid wood, not very many. Most of it is veneer. All of this here on the top is veneer, and you've got some solid wood along the edges, and of course the legs themselves are solid wood, but everything else is MDF. Not even pressed wood, actual MDF, and you can see it here on the underside. This piece is not old, it's not expensive, it's not fancy. It was made in China, but they did a number of techniques to make it look older, including these wormholes in quotations. And also along the edges here, there are these what look like sort of saw marks or gouges. These aren't natural. In fact, they're repeated in pretty consistent intervals around the whole piece on the top as well. Gives the appearance that this table is a lot older than it actually is. Even these turned legs aren't made from a single block of wood. As you can see, there's a seam down the middle of each leg. And it could have been that they took two boards and glued them together and then turned it, but either way, it's not something you would typically see in an authentic older piece. So given the state that it's in, the age of the piece, and what it's actually made of, we're going to be doing a wood and paint combination. And I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but you can see there's some issues here on the top with the finish as well as the actual surface. There's this one spot where some moisture got through the veneer and bubbled the MDF underneath, so that's going to be a little bit of an issue as well. Stay tuned. My name is Angie and I refinish furniture. Sometimes I paint and sometimes I don't, but I always do what I can to save old pieces from the trash. Welcome to my workroom. I really need a work table that's a little bit lower for stuff like this. In fact, I have something like that coming up, so stay tuned for that. But let's have a look at this because it's going to tell me how I need to take this apart and if I need to take this apart. We've got this curved section here that is screwed into the tabletop, and then we've got a piece of solid wood trim that is screwed into that. The block at the bottom of these legs is screwed into the table, but the legs themselves are independent and they are just screwed on. On most older pieces, you would see this all as one part, the block and the actual turned leg. I can't turn these to tighten them because the bottom is still attached, it's screwed on. So in order to sturdy up the legs, the bottom has to come off. So even once I have the screws out, you can see it's a little bit hard to clear that bottom panel. So I actually have to unscrew all the legs. It's not the end of the world though. This will actually make it a little bit easier to refinish them in the way I want to anyway. Once the bottom panel and the legs are removed, I'm getting rid of these staples. There's always staples on the underside of tables. It drives me nuts. Especially something like this where there's a bottom panel, like I worry about kids getting on there. I don't know, probably never happens, but it's just something I worry about. Don't want anybody getting poked. I also went and tightened every screw, and every screw turned at least a quarter, so this piece was getting pretty wobbly. This may still be a cheap piece of crap in the end, but darn it, it's gonna be sturdy. Now, if you've never refinished a piece like this, you're not really going to understand just how fragile this top is. The veneer is super thin. I hesitate to immediately grab a chemical stripper because I don't want to introduce more moisture, especially with that MDF subcore. But with scraping, because the surface is so uneven, I worry about damaging the veneer and hitting those areas that might be bubbled. And going straight in with a sander is not always the best idea on this stuff either. So I decided to risk using a chemical stripper here, only because I need to get the finish off while preserving as much of that veneer as possible. Once I have all of the old thick goopy finish off, I'm going to let this dry a little bit, then I'm going to do some very light sanding. But before I deal with the top, I want to deal with the painted parts, which is going to be this trim around the outside and the legs. So I have to prep these table legs before I can paint them. And in this case, that's going to mean a really good cleaning, scuff sand, possibly priming depending on the type of paint I use. And today is actually January 1st, which is traditionally a day when people come up with their new year, new me plans. But as I came out here to work, I started thinking, does that actually work? For most people, probably not. It's kind of like these table legs. They're going to look completely different when I'm finished with them, but it's a process to get there. These legs are not going to transform themselves. I have to show up for the process, even if it's slow. And the whole point of what I'm talking about here is that healing is the same way. Cleaning things up, making small repairs, and I was kind of drawing a parallel to sort of what's been going on in my life lately. Most of you guys know 2025 was a rough year for me, and I didn't come out completely unscathed or without scars. And in this case, I mean literal scars if you think about my poor thumb. I decided to talk to a therapist through BetterHelp because I needed someone to guide me, help keep me accountable, and show me that it's okay if you don't have all the answers all the time. I actually used BetterHelp prior to the opportunity of this paid partnership with them. So I can tell you firsthand that it can really offer you support and fresh perspectives that you might not have been able to come to on your own. Maybe this could be a step in the right direction for you too. I'm going to leave my link down below in the description if you want to check it out, and you can get 10% off your first month of therapy. Part of my journey in life is realizing I can't do everything by myself, so I wanted to extend that opportunity to you as well. Okay, now we're going to do the tabletop, and then we're going to get to these legs. So even though the finish is removed now, I have to be super careful with sanding. I'm going to be using a really fine grit so that I don't take off too much. But before I do that, I have to do the bottom shelf. But there is a difference with the lower shelf. If you look at the edge profile here, you might think that looks kind of weird, and it's because it's not wood, it's MDF, just like underneath. On the top shelf, they use solid trim. Down here on the bottom, they just routed the MDF and used a kind of yellow color primer to make it look like wood. So as usual, the simple projects become a little bit tougher. It's not impossible to color match it, but it will take a little bit more time. So I'm going in here with 180 grit sandpaper to just smooth everything out. Now on these pieces, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to get every ding and depression out. The veneer is so thin, and when you're dealing with a substrate like MDF or even pressed wood, sometimes swelling those fibers to get those dents out is just not worth the risk of damage. So I'm just going to do what I can with the 180 grit. And then I'm going to use a fine grit sponge pad here just to smooth out the MDF. Now same thing on the top, 180 grit. This is going to be my only sanding. There's just not enough veneer on these pieces to do multiple rounds, and if you were to hit this with something like 80 or 120, there wouldn't be much veneer left. Now this is what it looks like completely sanded. Everything looks pretty good except this one spot here that I said was bubbled, if you remember in the beginning. I knew this was going to happen. I haven't gone completely through the veneer, but I am like 99% there. It's nice and smooth now, but sometimes when you have little patches like this, it can be hard to color match. We're going to see how this turns out. Now I would have loved to do a water-based stain on this to get the exact look I'm going for, but I don't dare hit this with anything water related. So I'm going to be using an oil-based stain instead. This is General Finishes Gel Stain in the color Nutmeg. This is a color I absolutely love. I use it a lot on mid-century furniture. This isn't going to be the final color. I may do a couple more things to tweak it and get it exactly where I want it to go with the paint color that I want to use, but this is step one. Now pine often does pretty well if you do a pre-stain conditioner. My pre-stain conditioner is water-based and I don't want to do it. I'm just going to chance it and see how this goes. I'm using Zep Heavy Duty degreaser to clean these legs and a little scrubby pad. This is going to remove any dirt and grime as well as any old polishes that might be on these. You could also use a cleaner like TSP for this. It works great at removing grease and dirt and oil, but some people might not realize you have to rinse it off. So once I have all of this scrubbed, I'm going to take a wet shop towel, give it a good sort of rinse, and then dry it with a clean shop towel. So I obviously did this for the other 3 legs as well as that trim around the top of the table. Now, anytime you're painting pine, you have to consider things like tan and bleed through. It's especially bad in knots, and it's especially bad if you're using light colors. Now, I'm going to be painting these a bit of a darker color, so I don't need to worry as much about that part of it, nor am I going to have to worry about adhesion, but in some situations, adhesion is an issue. That is where a primer comes in. So what I'm going to be doing in this case, once I have all these clean, I'm going to take this sponge pad, give it a little scuff sand, and then I'm going to give it a quick spray with some shellac, which is kind of going to take the place of a primer like bin. Now bin, there's 2 different types of bin, but the one used the most for dealing with tannins and bleed through is the shellac base. So I'm kind of just using the shellac in its place. So once I've very lightly scuffed the surface of that shellac coating, it's time to get to paint. Now I really wanted a green, but I didn't want to use bayberry straight. I wanted it a little bit darker, and I have a little bit of this left over from another project. I'm going to mix a little bit in. You can see here what it looks like. Now the one on the right is the bayberry, and it is a beautiful color. I wanted something a little bit cooler and a little bit darker, so I'm going to take a little bit of this custom color that I mixed up here, to cut it down to about half that amount, and then add in some bayberry. And that should give me exactly what I'm looking for. This paint covers really well. It should take me about 2 coats. I'll do a really light scuff sand in between, and we should be good to go. Although Fusion Mineral Paint is super hardy on its own and doesn't really need a top coat, I really like using this Fusion Beeswax and Hemp Oil combo. It gives such a nice soft luster. Right here it's on and I haven't wiped it off yet, so it looks a little shiny, but it's a very subtle sheen once you put it on and then wipe it back. And it's gonna just add a little extra depth and a little extra protection. I've used Fusion Mineral Paint on exterior doors and it's lasted years. In fact, we just did a house sign in front of our house with Fusion paint, and rain, snow, hail, it seems to stand up to everything. Now, I'm going to be using Varathane Diamond Wood Finish. This is a water-based top coat, and if you remember in the beginning, I was hesitant to use a water-based stain on this because of the MDF. I've actually got 2 coats of the General Finishes gel stain, and while that's not a sealant in its own right, it's prepared the surface enough for me that I can use a water-based stain. Now, initially, I was going to spray lacquer on this. I thought that would be the best way to go if I needed to do any toning, you know, kind of where the pine was a little funny in the color. But to be honest, I just didn't want to smell lacquer. The stuff is so stinky and toxic, and I do use it when I have to, but I just decided I didn't want to use it today. So 4 coats of the Varathane it was. It's kind of mind-boggling now looking back at what I started with, and for some people there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, aside from the finish and gouges and stuff like that, but I'm talking about the style of it itself. There are still people that like this sort of country pine look. I'm just not one of them. It had to go, and you know, to be honest, flips like this I mean, yes, I sell these pieces for the most part, or I donate them, but I usually sell them. And I do make money doing it, but I do these videos to show people that if you have a piece of furniture that's been in your family for a long time, or, times are tight and you just can't afford to go buy a brand new solid wood piece of furniture, cheap stuff like this, you can transform it and make it your own and help it blend into your own aesthetic. Best of all, you don't have to feel guilty for 1 second about painting it. Thanks for watching this first little flip of the year. I'm excited to bring you awesome projects throughout 2026. Enjoy the reveal, and I'll see you next time.